welcome to Talking with Santa on Waycross Community Media. You see that we have Santa and Mrs. Claus live in the studio with us. And this is it's so great that you take time during the busy season that you have. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you very much. Ho, 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 boys and girls. It's good to see everyone, and it's glad to be back in Cincinnati.
It's a Merry Christmas.
Now, if you have been watching us on Waycross every year that we have Santa and Mrs. Claus in here, you know that Santa has been fantastic enough to visit us for many, many, many years, and we so appreciate that. And one of the neat things about this program is that if you're watching this live on December 7th, that means kids 12 and under, should be kids, can email their questions to Santa right here in the studio, and I will get them on my magical device here through the magic of Christmas and technology, and I will be able to ask Santa your question here in the studio. So that email address, if you're watching it live on December 7th, is santa@waycross.org. So now that you know that, let's come on over. There's so many things that I think we need to talk about. Make sure the kids are ready for Christmas, find out how you guys are getting ready for Christmas. Before we get started, we actually also have a lot of kids that ask their questions ahead of time. And we met some of them ahead of time, and they recorded their questions for you because that way we didn't have to worry about them being here with you. They are watching at home right now so that they can see their video asking the question, and they can also hear your answers. So we have some volunteer elves in our crew room there, and if our crew is ready, are you ready to hear one of those questions?
We're ready.
Definitely.
All right, we're going to hear the very first question as soon as they're ready to show it to us.
Okay, Eva, can you tell Santa what you want for Christmas? What would you like?
Blue.
You want blue? And do you have a question for Santa?
Right there.
Right there. Do you have a question for Santa?
Right there.
Okay, well, we heard Eva's question. Well, okay, Eva's question wasn't really a question. She seems really excited, though. So thank you so much, Eva, for sending us that video. But we did find out what she wants for Christmas. What do you have to tell
Eva,
her?
it sounds like you're interested in a big old dog called Bluey. And Bluey's very, very popular this time of the year. We hope we can bring it to you, but we can't promise anything. We'll see what we can do.
Well, Eva, thank you so much for sending us that question. Mrs. Claus, are you seeing a lot of requests for Bluey toys and dolls and videos or any of that stuff too?
Definitely, all the time we get, and when we see the children, they always asking us about Bluey, and some of the adults even tell us how much they love Bluey.
I have to say, I've been hearing a lot of things about Bluey, and I haven't had time to watch yet. So if you haven't had time to watch yet and you're wondering what we're talking about, it's a blue heeler dog. It's an Australian cartoon. It looks really fun. Eva clearly loves it, so I feel like I could go on that recommendation.
Definitely.
Definitely.
Yes.
Eva seems to have some really good ideas of good stuff to watch. So thank you, Eva. I really appreciate that. So I'm looking around and I'm seeing the decorations. We've had volunteers over the years work so hard to get decorations up at Waycross, and this year the staff worked on it. What do you do at the North Pole? Do you put up decorations? Do they stay up all year? Do they go up just for the holidays?
Well, we have lots of decorations. Mrs. Claus, you want to tell us how that works?
Yes, we keep them up all year round. We love Christmas, and we always making toys and getting requests in, and we do all kinds of wrapping all year, and it's a continuous process.
Do you ever look for new things to add to your decorations, or do they tend to be the same historically correct ones that you always have there?
We've always kept is historically correct, and we do add once in a while, we have a little bit that we do add. And the elves come up with ideas all the time, so we're very happy to have them help us decorate.
So I have an email here, and of course, as I said, if you're watching this live on December 7th, you can email Santa at santa@waycross.org. And let's see if I can find it here. I have an email from a Katie, and Katie seems pretty advanced because this says, "Hi Santa from South Carolina.
Beautiful.
I want for Christmas is a paramedic textbooks." So Katie sounds pretty advanced. That's what Katie wants. Thank you, Katie, for watching in South Carolina. I'm so glad that you're joining us.
It sounds to me like Katie's planning in advance, that she knows what she wants to do, and she's getting ready to take all the information in that's possible. I think that an email or EMS type textbook would be a great thing for Katie.
Yeah, I think she's looking at a great career, and we love all the first responders that get places when they're needed. And we think they're working very hard in lots of places across the world.
I know that I spoke to someone at Forest Park on Monday that said he might not have time to have someone send his email, but that his name was Jermaine and he really likes fire trucks. So he's also excited about the first responders and the firefighters and things like that. So do you find that you get a lot of requests for fire trucks and police
There are
cars?
a tremendous number of requests for fire trucks. Mostly they're little boys, but every once in a while a young lady will decide that she wants a fire truck. And it's an exciting thing to know that children are thinking about possibly going into the fire department sometime. It's very rewarding.
That's fantastic. What's the most unusual thing you've had kids ask you for when you're reading those letters?
Wow, that's a tough one. I think we actually had a young person ask for a hippopotamus. You know, there's a song about all I want for Christmas is a hippopotamus, but this young child was very serious.
Okay.
So we told him, I says, you know, I don't know that we can bring a hippopotamus, but we can encourage you to go to the zoo to see the animals.
And meet Fritz and Fiona. We have some
Right.
famous hippopotamuses in Cincinnati. So
Yes, very famous. Yes.
that's enough to make you want one in your
Oh,
house.
yeah.
I mean,
And
there's
we did send on with Santa a little hippopotamus to grant the wish anyway.
so they could have their mini hippopotamus.
That's
That's
right.
probably a lot better for the household.
I think so.
And I mean, I know you always feel like you know where it's going to live, but I feel like that's a good idea.
Well, there's some things that you just can't bring that are real, so you have to settle for the smaller things in life.
And maybe that just means they just have to grow up big to learn how to work at the zoo,
That's right.
and then they get to hang out with the hippopotamus,
Great idea.
like Fiona
Yes.
or Fritz. And I'm not thinking the rest of their names, so shame on me. I have another question from some of the kids that we got to meet on Monday. And on Monday, as you know, Santa, because you stopped by, but on Monday, Forest Park lit their Christmas trees, and I got to meet a lot of kids that had questions for you. So I think if we're ready, we are going to start with a question from Nova, and then we also talked to her brother, so we'll hear from them. Let's start with Nova.
I want for Christmas is I want a Furby, I want fingerling, and I want a telescope, and I want Masha High. I want an umbrella. Do you go on vacation?
Santa loves to take vacations. The only problem is that he's busy so much during the year that he doesn't get to take a lot of vacations. Every year, though, Mrs. Claus plans a vacation for us, a nice place to go.
Yes, and our favorite place to be is the North Pole. But when we vacation, I like it a little bit warmer. So we go to Christmas Island a lot.
Oh, I see the connection. I see what you did there. And I think Nova said she likes Furbies. Are Furbies back?
She says, I don't think Furbies have ever been
Ever
gone, but
gone.
Furbies are popular.
Yeah.
And I think I heard Nova say something about a telescope, so she's interested in educational toys. And then I also think I heard her say umbrella, but I'm not sure.
I thought I heard that too, and I love how completely useful. I hope it's a really fun umbrella doll.
Yes. Oh, yeah, we do have a lot of fun umbrellas for
Okay.
the children.
Okay.
They love them.
It's just. I mean, you have whole songs about dancing with an umbrella. I mean, people know
Yes.
umbrellas are fun. That's fantastic. So, when you go on vacation in warm places, do you have to? Do your outfits still look like Santa and Mrs. Claus outfits, but sunnier?
No, they don't look like we look every day, or they don't look like we do at Christmas time. They're a lot less bulky, they fit a little bit differently, and they're a lot cooler because you're in a hot place.
Okay.
And Santa even sometimes takes and shaves his beard off, just so he can be disguised. But he doesn't do that very often.
When you do that, does anyone know it's you?
I don't know that I've ever been recognized. Mrs. Claus, have you?
Never, never.
You're undercover. All right.
Undercover in disguise.
So whenever you're on vacation somewhere you don't know, there could be an undercover Santa there. You should. So I guess you should still behave,
Always be nice.
because you could be an undercover Santa spotting somewhere.
That's
true.
correct.
That's a really good tip. That's a
Yes.
really good tip, folks. Let's hear one of Nova's brothers, Maddox,
Oh,
and see what he had to say.
wonderful.
What I want for Christmas is a remote control car, a RC car, PJ Masks. I forgot the last one. I'm thinking. I'm still thinking. Can I get a picture?
Remote control cars.
Remote controlled cars are very popular this year. I think they're popular every year, and every year they get more and more sophisticated. The elves always come up with new ways to make the toys work better. So it's so much fun to watch them. When I was years and years ago when we had remote cars, they didn't work near as well as they work now. But I think we're getting better with those.
And Maddox's big question was, when he sees you, he wants to know if he can get a picture. Is that the biggest thing that happens when you see kids?
Well, we take a lot of pictures with children. We take a lot of pictures with adults too, because everybody wants a picture with Santa Claus. And Santa and Mrs. Claus, we're always ready and glad and happy to have our pictures taken. It's a lot of fun.
Do you ever feel like there are times that you've had too many pictures taken? Are you always ready for it?
I think I try to be ready for it all the time. There's some times when you don't feel as good as others, but you're always ready to make somebody happy. So it's always a good thing to be ready to have your picture taken. And if the children want their pictures taken with Santa Claus, that's the least that Santa Claus can do.
I mean, I only ask because you are an international celebrity, and I know celebrities have different feelings about whether or not they want their pictures, but it sounds like you've had maybe more time to acclimate. In your early Santa days, that was not a thing. Did people stop and ask people to sketch themselves with Santa?
And you'll-
I think in the old days, we would have that. People would say, hey, can we get a sketch of you and Mrs. Claus together with us? And if we had a good sketch artist, then we got it done pretty quick. But nowadays, everybody has a camera. Well, I shouldn't say that. Everybody has a telephone with a camera in it. And every once in a while, you see a real camera.
Actual camera.
Actually, we do.
Fortunately,
Yes.
we have some actual television cameras so that we can broadcast this so that all of you watching have a chance to learn these things about Santa and ask your question. And we have one more video from their family, and that's Jacob. So if
Jacob.
we're ready, let's listen to Jacob's.
Our Christmas, we
When I met Jacob the other day, I asked him if he had a question, and he did not have a question, but he did want a Wii video game.
Yeah.
That sounds like it's not a new request.
No, the Wii video games have been around quite a while now, and a lot of the people are asking for Wiis. Santa doesn't promise that he can bring that, but he'll do the best that he can, and we'll hopefully be able to do it. But like I said, it may not be possible.
And I did hear something else. You know, sometimes elves, we have some extra information that comes into us. And we have on a list for Jacob that he likes creamer.
Oh, I remember hearing that. I think his mother might have told us that he likes coffee creamer. Now, I'm not sure whether Jacob drinks the coffee creamer straight or whether he puts it in coffee, so I don't know but we'll see what we can do with the creamer, Jacob.
Okay. I think that's a very useful, I mean, we've,
What?
umbrella requests.
Yes.
Very, very practical creamer requests. I like these.
Very
There's some
good.
really great flavors for creamers too. Special Christmassy flavors. Do you now, does Santa and Mrs. Claus, do you drink coffee or tea or soda? What's your favorite things to drink?
Well, Santa drinks a lot of coffee.
Okay.
He has tea once in a while, and he drinks a lot of milk. Santa tries to stay away from the sodas because he gets his belly going. More sodas will just make it bigger and bigger, and we don't need to get any bigger. Mrs. Claus, what do you like to drink the best?
Hot chocolate. I love hot chocolate, and especially with marshmallows.
Do you ever take your peppermint stick and put it in the hot chocolate?
Oh, yes, and stir it around. It's wonderful.
If you're watching at home and you haven't tried that, that's what you should do with your peppermint sticks. Stick them in your hot chocolate. Mwah, perfect. That's a special Christmas tip from the North Pole.
That's right.
Now, we are getting emails, so I'm going to read you one. This is from Davis, who is 10 years old. And Davis says, "Hi, Santa. I have 2 questions. What is the maximum speed of your sleigh? And where do you go on vacation?"
Well, I think we answered the vacation question with Christmas Island, and that's where we spend most of our vacations. And it's nice to be there, and it still reminds us of home. But the sleigh, I'm not exactly sure how fast it goes. It doesn't go as fast as the speed of light, but it goes pretty quick. You know, we got to get around the world in one day, so it has to be pretty quick. So we try to make sure that it's safe all the time, and most of the times it is. But sometimes we have to push it real hard.
Okay, so I have to ask because sometimes you think about these things and you think, all right, if I'm in a vehicle that is traveling at that speed, how are your reindeer okay in there? How are you okay in there?
Well, the reindeer are the magic part of the whole ordeal. They break the wind
Okay.
and make it easy for the sleigh to get through. And they do one fine job.
Okay, so the answer to this question is that we are not talking about regular hanging out in the woods reindeer here.
No, by no means. These are special reindeer. And Mrs. Claus keeps track of a lot of the reindeer.
Oh, yes, that's part of my job at the North Pole. I make sure that they have their fresh hay and their oats and that they're groomed. But the other thing that helps Santa is time zone, the changes.
Okay.
Right.
And there's always a little touch of magic with the sleigh.
I mean, that's the real important thing. Is there Christmas magic? Not just from the peppermint stick, but from actual Christmas magic. That's
That's right.
fantastic. I am losing my train of thought already here, but I wanted to, let's see, we're getting more questions. So I have a question from Oliver. Oliver wants to know, he says, "Hi, Santa. Do you have an elf on the shelf?"
Oliver, Santa does not have an elf on the shelf. Santa and Mrs. Claus, we get all the notes that the elves on the shelf send to the North Pole, and we learn out a lot about all the children and a lot about their parents. But we don't have an elf on the shelf, but we have lots and lots of real elves up there in the North Pole.
Now, are there any other ways you get reports about how, we know the elves on the shelves are giving you reports on how the kids, that helps you keep up with your naughty and nice list. What if someone doesn't have an elf on the shelf? How are you keeping up with them?
Well, we get notifications from parents. We get notifications from friends. We especially get notifications from teachers when the children do something super nice and they report it to the North Pole. And Mrs. Claus, do you have any other ways that we find out?
You know, I love when the teachers let us know about the children, and it is really important to us to see when children are doing those wonderful things. They're helping out with other children, they're talking with the children that maybe didn't have as many friends, and they reach out and they're very kind. Kindness and loving and caring are the most important parts of Christmas.
I think my favorite part of this is what you're talking about, is getting reports of the nice things they're doing.
Yes.
Sometimes we look at these elf on the shelves doing their mischievous things around the house all the time, and we think, oh, they're just trying to catch us do something bad. But those elves are trying to catch you do something nice.
Right.
That's right.
Okay, that's nice. That's important.
One of Santa's favorite sayings is, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. And when you think about it, like Mrs. Claus says, there's some children that just have a lot of friends at school. And the nicest thing that you could do is make friends with somebody that typically doesn't belong to the group that you're in. And that's just a kind thing to do, and it's thoughtful, and it really, really makes people happy.
All right, well, let me ask you this. It's December 7th. Is it, if somebody knows they're on the naughty list, and let's face it, you know if you're on the naughty list. You don't have to look it up. If someone's on the naughty list, is it too late for them to get off the naughty list in time for Christmas?
Well, Mrs. Claus is the expert on the naughty list because Santa ends up on there every once in a while. But I usually do something good and I get back off the naughty list. But Mrs. Claus will tell you all about it.
Yes, our naughty list is not very long. It really isn't. Most children are very kind and they do care about others. And so that list is like I said, just not as long as some people think. And it is something that we really look forward to because we can see the good list. And it makes us happy. It makes everyone happy.
Is there an age where you can stop worrying about the naughty and nice list, or should you keep an eye on that idea all the time?
Always,
Okay.
always. And you're never too old or you're never that bad that you can't move on and be on the nice list.
Okay, that's the best news of the entire program, is that there is never a point where you can't get off the naughty list. Mm-hmm. If you're watching and you didn't remember anything else, like what kind of drinks that Santa likes, which you should go back and rewind for so that you know what to put out for him on Christmas Eve. But if you remember only one thing, it's never too late to get off the naughty list.
Exactly.
That's important. Thank you, Oliver, so much for this question. And you know, maybe if Santa had an elf on the shelf, the elf would report to you, Mrs. Claus.
I know
Maybe. Okay.
Santa very well.
Okay. No need for an elf
No
on the
need
shelf.
for that
Okay.
elf, no.
So there you go, Oliver. There's no need for Santa to have an elf on the shelf. He has an entire North Pole full of elves to keep an eye on him. Okay.
That's correct.
Okay. That should cover that. Let's see. I do want to ask you, actually, elf on the shelf. Oliver, that was one of my questions on my paper too. Good job. Thank you so much for helping me with that. You know what? Now, let's see if we have some more questions from the kids that I got to meet at Forest Park on Monday. Let's hear Jada's question.
That sounds
Great.
like a great idea.
What I want for Christmas is a Barbie dream house. How long does the present takes to wrap up?
Jada, those are great. That's a great question. How long does it take you to wrap all of the presents for Christmas?
Well, Jada, it doesn't take Santa very long at all because Santa doesn't have to do that all the time. But Mrs. Claus takes care of getting the presents wrapped.
Yes, we actually do have elves that are in the wrapping part of the North Pole. And they do all of the Christmas wraps, and we start them right away the next year. We do it all year long. We wrap presents. It takes forever almost.
So the elves at the North Pole, are they all specialized? Do they have their own departments?
Every elf has their own place at the North Pole. We have medical elves, like we were talking before about paramedics. We also have doctor and nurse elves, and we have elves that do the toys, of course, and that's the majority. And we have elves that just help with others with cleaning and with taking care of the animals and growing some vegetables, and it's not easy. We have big, warm places that they grow.
Because you're in the North Pole.
It is.
That's not necessarily where you would think it's good for farming, so you must have very big greenhouses up there.
Yes.
And do the elves, do they have special training schools that they go to for their departments? Or?
Definitely. They have trade schools, and they have college that they have to go through. And of course, they go through regular schools from elementary all the way through. But we do have special training if they have a special wish that they want to do and want to become.
Santa's favorite elves are the ones that bake the cookies.
Oh, my baking elves.
well,
They're wonderful.
That leads us to a very important question, because kids are wondering, what should we put out for you on Christmas Eve? Obviously, we want to put out your favorite things. We want to be on your good side. And what's your favorite snack to find? Is it a cookie? Is it a what else
Well,
is it?
naturally, Santa Claus's favorite snack is the cookie. And to tell you the honest truth, Santa Claus likes every kind of cookie. But I'm pretty partial to chocolate chip and sugar cookies.
Okay.
I like those very much.
Now, Mrs. Claus, I know you keep an eye on what Santa eats. Does he eat these kind of chocolate chip and sugar cookies all year at the North Pole, or is this a special Christmas Eve treat?
It's a special treat for Santa because we can't let him gain a lot of weight. And he needs to watch what he eats, just like all of you and all of us. So we do keep an eye on that.
Okay, so it's okay Christmas Eve to have all of our treats.
Well, Christmas Eve is a time to celebrate a lot of different things. And it's nice to have your special treats on Christmas Eve so that you can get started with the whole spirit of Christmas. It's very nice.
Now, we're talking, we did Jada's questions. We also have her sister Tyla. Let's listen to Tyla's question.
I want Barbie Dreamhouse. I want Play-Doh. Sandcastle. I'm gonna ask him, I think, how old is a reindeer?
Well, Jada, I don't exactly know how old the oldest reindeer is, but we've got a lot of them that are really pushing the limit, and we get new reindeer every year. Some go on to the reindeer place in the sky, but we get new reindeer every year. So I would say we've got some that are probably 25 or 35 years old,
Yeah, we have some young ones.
and we have some real young ones. There's always young reindeer in training.
So Tyla, you can imagine reindeer schools, maybe? Are the reindeer all training somewhere? Do you have elves that are reindeer trainers?
Our elves do work hard with the reindeer, and they do take care of them for us. And I have to supervise, but they're all very well behaved. They really are. And we always like to say that they are probably older than the Christmas tree,
Okay.
but younger than dinosaurs.
Okay. That narrows it down for you, Tyla. Younger than dinosaurs. That's how old the reindeer are. we leave you treats on Christmas Eve. We also leave reindeer treats on Christmas Eve because they're working hard. What kind of things should we leave for our reindeer?
Well, the reindeer like oats and they like hay, but a real special treat for the reindeer sometime is an apple or a piece of fruit. I don't know that anything's more important. They would love to have candy, but we don't let the reindeer have candy. They just eat oats and hay, and sometimes they get treats of apples.
Okay. That sounds good.
Yes. They're allergic anyway to candy. They can't eat candies.
Well, I know they need to stay healthy. They're working hard, especially that night.
Yes.
It seems like it would be okay if they had a few extra treats that night, though, so long as they were, healthy treats.
Certainly.
Well, besides Jada and Tyla's, we also have Jamar's question. So let's listen to that one.
What I want for Christmas is a laser tag, the laser tag thing with a 2-player can play against each other. What is your favorite reindeer?
Okay, so Jamar has another reindeer question. I'm sensing a reindeer theme here. Very nice. Do you have a favorite reindeer?
Jamar, I'm not so sure that that I'm allowed to have a favorite reindeer. All the reindeer are really, really super individual reindeer. So I don't know if I have a special or a favorite one, but I am a little partial to maybe Rudolph, but he doesn't know that he's the favorite, and I don't tell anybody that he's the favorite.
I mean, Rudolph really came through for you
He certainly did.
that one time.
Yes. But I'll tell you what, too, very close to our heart are the animals who are having a hard time. And we love to see, and we get reports of the animals that are being adopted every day.
I learned just recently, sometimes we're focused on what's happening at the North Pole, but once in a while I find out things like what is the official state animal of things. And did you know the official state animal, the official state dog of Ohio, which who knew there was a state dog of Ohio to begin with? But the official state dog is a shelter dog.
Shelter dog.
Yes.
That takes in a lot of different dogs, the shelter dogs. And a lot of children want kitty cats for Christmas. They want dogs for Christmas. They want animals. Santa Claus tries never to bring animals, live animals. It's important if you get an animal that it comes from your parents, because that way we know that the animal is wanted in the household if the parent got the animal for the child. But Santa does not bring live animals.
That's really important to make sure that an animal is not just a present for a kid. It's the present for the whole family. You all have to be in on that, ready to go on that.
And it's a lot of responsibility. Mrs. Claus will tell you about responsibility.
Definitely. It takes a lot to take care of an animal. And that's why if there's a special request from a parent, then Santa will go ahead and bring it for the child.
Okay.
But definitely not just because somebody wants one. It has to be a really, really caring and wonderful, responsible people that are going to take care of that.
So if you are going to go visit Santa and tell Santa that you want a pet for Christmas, you'd better start with your parents before you do that, because Santa's going to check with your parents before he does that.
I kid the parents all the time. When they're not really listening, I ask the children, I says, how would you like Santa to bring you a pony? And their parents really pay attention then. And then I tell them, I was just kidding. Santa does not bring animals, but it sure gets their parents' attention.
And that includes hippopotamuses.
And that includes
Okay.
hippopotamus.
All right.
That's
See,
right.
we're all circling back here. We are past the halfway point, so I want to make sure you know, if you're watching us live on December 7th, that you know if you are 12 and under, you can have your mommy email us here in the studio, and we will ask Santa and Mrs. Claus your question for you. In the meantime, we have some more from the kids that I got to meet on Monday in Forest Park, and we have one from Lennox. Let's hear Lennox's question.
What I want for Christmas is a G29. Santa, how cold is it in the North Pole?
Lennox, those are great. I know, Lennox, that Santa already knows that a G29 is a video game steering wheel for a racing car game. But I had to look it up, Lennox. So sometimes elves, I'm not in that department, so sometimes we have to look things up. It's things that I'm learning every time. But you have to keep up on all of the toys.
Well, I try to keep up on them, but it's not easy. Usually I get a lot of help from the elves and tell me some of the things that are popular this year. And the elves are really good at predicting toys that are going to be popular not only this year, but even next year, because they know a lot of things about toys.
And I was so busy thinking about G29s that I did not hear Lennox's question, but you're ready to answer it, I think.
Well, I don't know that I heard them. Mrs. Claus might remember.
I'm trying to, isn't that terrible?
Oh no, Lennox, we were so busy thinking about this video controller that I think I might ask my elves to play yours again.
I can't remember.
What I want for Christmas is a G29. Santa, how cold is it in the North Pole?
Lennox, thanks for letting us put up with that. And now we know what the question was.
Lennox, now I remember, but Santa has a short memory. He just doesn't pay attention all the time like he should. But I think in the North Pole it's probably close to 0 degrees centigrade or colder. It might even get a lot colder at the North Pole than that, but probably the average is 0 degrees centigrade. And that's pretty much the same as it is in North Pole, Alaska. And there is a North Pole, Alaska, too.
Okay, so that's important. North Pole, Alaska is not the same as your North Pole.
That's correct.
Okay.
It's a lot different, a lot farther apart.
Okay, that's important to know because if we think we're going to go visit you, we don't want to go to the wrong one.
That's right.
Okay. Lennox also brought his brother Brian, so we have a question from Brian too, so let's listen to that one.
What I want for Christmas is a PC. My question is, can I have Rudolph as a pet?
I mean, it's a fair question. We did talk about pets, though.
It's a very fair question, but if we gave Rudolph to you as a pet, it might make your parents upset, and then we wouldn't have Rudolph. So, like I said before, Santa does not bring live animals or live pets to children. But it's very important that Rudolph stays at the North Pole.
Yes, he's been such a help to us. We couldn't go on without him.
I mean, Rudolph is staff, basically.
Rudolph is a basic member of the staff.
So I have a question. As the reindeer get older, and reindeer retire, presumably, and you talked about training up the new reindeer, did they inherit the name of the reindeer they replaced so that there's always a Donner and a Prancer and a, so on?
Well, those are just several of the names that we have for the reindeer. But reindeer pretty much, I guess they can pick their own names when you come right down to it. They're named sometimes by the way that they act, and they're named sometimes by the way that they try to behave. So it's pretty hard to say. I don't know that there's a special system for naming reindeer.
No, it's just like Vixen and
Comet,
Prancer and
Dancer, Prancer, Comet, Vixen,
Fast and whatever.
Donner and Blitzen.
So does that mean one of these days, when you're flying around on Christmas Eve, it might not be the ones that we know in the song. It might be Twinkle Toes and...
Well, that's
Spot.
a possibility because sometimes you have to have fill-ins.
Okay.
You're right.
Okay. I'm just wondering, we learn a lot about you from songs and Christmas movies. So sometimes it's nice to get to ask
Yes.
if there's anything that's not in there or things that we want to know. I want to ask you a couple quick, we asked about favorite cookies. Do you have a favorite Christmas movie?
I don't know that I have a favorite Christmas movie. Lately, I've been watching Elf more than I should.
It's fun.
What's the other one that I like?
Miracle
Miracle on 42nd Street.
Street. We both love that.
Yeah, that's a
a nice
classic.
one.
That's a really old one. And It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
A lot of good Christmas stories.
Okay. That's important to know. Things like, do you have favorite Christmas songs?
I like Jingle Bells a lot.
Yeah, now you came with jingle bells. Our sound guy doesn't like it when we use the jingle bells, so we left them out in the green room. But I know you always travel with jingle bells.
Oh, yeah.
How else will we know you're coming?
I think that's the best way to know that I'm coming. It's because of the bells, and they're so loud. If I had them in here right now, I'd ring them, but that volunteer sound guy, he would not be happy.
No.
We don't want to make our volunteer sound guy unhappy.
No.
No.
So you'll just have to imagine that you hear the jingle
Play
bells, or we can add them in post or something like that. Do you have favorite games that you play at Christmas time?
We're too busy.
You don't have time to play games
We're
at
so
Christmas time.
busy.
I don't know. At Christmas time, there's no time for games. But sometimes in our off season, when we go on our vacation, we might take a deck of cards and play some card games.
Okay. That's fun. That's something that we can all do when we're visiting with our families at Christmas. And so we have a few more videos. I want to make sure we get them all in before we're done. And we have one from a young lady named Elise, and we're going to listen to hers.
Wonderful.
What I want for Christmas is basically an iPad with an Apple Pen. Yeah, I'm gonna draw things, maybe play some games with it. I don't know, but that's what I've been hoping for like 1 year. Yeah, it was actually 2 years because I've been wanting this for so long, and I've been asking it, and I've been asking for it for a very long time, and I'm wishing and hoping that I'll get it for this year. So, Santa, if you were a reindeer, which reindeer would you be? Donner, Blitzen, Cupid, Prancer, all those other ones? Which one would you choose? Oh, I forgot, Dasher. If you would live in, a very, 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 very cold place, like what area would you live in? Like the North Pole, maybe? Yeah, maybe like the North Pole. He already lives in there, but what cold place, cold place would you stay? Okay.
All right, Elise really thought about these questions.
Elise has some tough questions there. Elise, first off, your question about which reindeer would I be, I don't want to play favorites and pick one, but like I said before, I'm pretty fond of Rudolph. But I don't let the other reindeer know that. And as far as the North Pole goes, I think the coldest place like the North Pole would probably be Antarctica. And that's way on the other side of the North Pole. And it gets very close. And to get to Antarctica, you have to go through Australia and just fly forever and ever and get to Antarctica. And it's the same way as the North Pole. You can only get in there certain times of the year.
But if you get to fly by Australia, you get to look to see if you can meet Bluey the blue heeler dog.
That's right. That's right.
So we can come all the way back around to Eva again.
Yes.
We
And
knew we
the
could keep that together.
Other
That's
thing
good.
is, Mrs. Claus would never leave the North Pole.
Oh,
So,
there you are.
yeah, I
And
love
you
it.
have a place that you like that's a cold place.
That is,
And you have said that you like to visit warm places.
yes.
That settles that. If Mrs. Claus says we're staying in the North Pole, we're staying in the North Pole.
True.
That sounds like a wise answer. I like that answer. Now, we do have one more video question from Awa, and so if we're ready, we'll listen to her question too.
What I want for Christmas is a OMG Big City surprise. I am wondering why do you have elves?
Awa, there's a lot of reasons to have elves, but our major reason is that at the North Pole, there's just so much work to get done. Mrs. Claus talked about earlier about all the different areas that the elves work in, and boy, it sure takes a lot of people and a lot of elves, and that's why we have so many. Mrs. Claus, do you want to add anything about the elves?
No, and the elves do take responsibility for a lot of the things that I have to supervise. So, and they are very good at their jobs.
Okay.
Yeah, and you could act like an elf around your house by taking care of things that your parents need to have done. So make sure that you do good deeds around the house, and it's just like being an elf.
So you could be an elf in training.
Of course.
Correct.
That's an EIT. So your elves back in the day had to make things like this, and I think I have a rag doll here. You know, these are the kind of things that they had to make.
Things, yes.
Now we heard people ask for a G29. We heard people ask for a PC, an iPad. I mean, these are useful things. A PC, you kind of need it for school. I mean, I get it. Can the elves make that? Because in the movies, we always see them making things like this.
Well, that's why we have the elf training schools, so that they can learn the newest technology that's available. And it's just like young children in school. They're picking up new technology every day. So are the elves. They're learning to make electronic toys. They're still learning to make wooden toys and rag dolls. But there's different toys for different ages. And the elves keep up with the training, and they learn to make the items.
Now, I want to mention, there is, of course, you know, Waycross, we have volunteer elves who are helping us with the show, like the one on sound that doesn't like the jingle bells. And we have elves that are here all year keeping things going and recovering all the stuff in the community. I want to mention that there was an elf. We talked about the reindeer retiring sometimes. Mm-hmm. We have an elf that has been part of what we do here, and this, including this show, for 35 years. And this elf just retired from doing his magic here at Waycross. Do you have this elf on your naughty and nice list? Do you know anything about this particular elf? This elf was named Chip.
Well, Chip was not only a good elf here at Waycross, he's a very, very super person. He's worked hard for 35 years, and he even worked here 4 or 5 years before he was hired on as a director, as an employee, and then eventually the director of Waycross. And Chip's a super person. And Chip and his family have given a lot of time and a lot of effort to Waycross TV and Waycross Media. And we certainly appreciate everything that Chip has done over the years.
And I think there's, of course, more elves, little elves in that family. So are you going to get a chance to keep an eye on those too?
Yeah, a couple of Chip's sons, I think, just got married in the last couple of years. And one of them has started a family, and they have a little. We're going to even go and get some pictures taken with the little elf to make sure that everything gets taken care of Christmas time.
See, because that comes back to, we love to have our picture taken with Santa, no matter how old we are. Now, do you find that the very, very tiny, tiny, tiny kids that are having pictures taken with you, sometimes they don't know you yet, and they're a little nervous? Are there some things you do to help them?
Well, the favorite ones are the little tiny babies that Mrs. Claus gets to hold. She loves to hold those babies for the pictures. And they just kind of stare, and they don't know what Christmas is all about yet. So they take everything in stride. But when they get to be a year and a half old, they're not so sure that they're going to be happy with Santa Claus. Some of them are afraid of Santa Claus. And I think that's a rite of passage, going from being a little baby to being a not so little baby, and then going into early childhood. But sooner or later, Santa tries to get them all attracted into the I need a big hug or I need a big high five. And we try to get all the kids warmed up, and it's a fun thing to do. But every year, there's at least, I don't know how many, but there's a lot of criers.
There are, and that's all right. It's okay. It happens, and some of the pictures are very cute, with them crying even. They still make a good picture. And we always tell the children that say, oh, I don't want to be in a picture, that the picture may not be for them. They should think about their mom and dad or grandma and grandpa who are with them that really would like to have that picture and have that memory.
That's a really good thing to remember. That, you know what, kids, you might feel like you don't need that picture, but your mom probably really needs that picture, or your grandma might really need that picture. I do have a question from a little girl named Caitlin, and interestingly, she would like to know, how do you achieve work-life balance? Now, I assume she's asking that to you in your Santa duties. How do you balance your Santa work with your family life?
Well, family always comes first, but you make sure that you give enough time to your work environment that you get the things done that you have to get done. So it's a hard thing to do at times, but remember, family always comes first.
I think that's a really interesting question to get from a little girl named Caitlin,
Yes.
but thank you so much for sharing it. Honestly, that's a good thing to know in Christmas time. We get really busy, don't we?
Yes.
I mean,
Very,
okay,
very busy.
you do, clearly, but I think the rest of us tend to get really busy at Christmas time, so it's nice to remember that.
Yes.
Well, yeah, moms and dads, or especially, they want everything to be so nice for Christmas that they get stressed out, and sometimes they get a little short with people. They just, have to try to balance and remember that family does come first.
I am so appreciative that we're willing to come in every year. The fact that you take some time, this is your busiest season. We're talking about this making time and work-life balance, and this is your busy season. This isn't like it's June and we're doing this, although maybe we should catch up with you sometimes in the summer, but.
Yes, but and Christmas time is our time for volunteering too. And we like to give to the communities that have taken care of all of these people. And we love to come and we love to visit. And it is part of our giving back.
That giving part, which is what your actual job is, giving, and also your passion and your mission. Sometimes when we think, what's a way we could be like Santa? What's a way we could practice being an elf in training? And giving what are some of the ways that families and kids can do that part?
Well, my favorite way of giving personally is to do something nice for somebody that they didn't expect you to do, and that they don't even know that you really did it for them. It's not important for me to be recognized that I did something, but it's nice for the other people to know that they were appreciated and somebody did something for them. So it's important to be nice to people.
Secret, stealthy good deeds.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like a good project. There's also a lot of things you can do as a whole family, too. As a whole, there's organizations and churches and senior centers and YMCAs, and a lot of them have giving trees where you can come in and pick out an ornament and say, here is a 13-year-old that needs a coat, or something that you could go do as a family. There are just lots and
Wonderful
lots of
ideas.
things. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
There
Great
are,
ideas.
and then you can practice being a Santa, which is neat.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's ever enough volunteers. There's always something that you can do to help somebody else. And volunteerism is just, it's a nice thing. It's heartwarming. It's heartwarming for the people that have things done for them, and it's heartwarming for you when you do something nice for somebody.
That's the most unexpected part, is that when you're doing it for someone else, it so often becomes a neat experience for yourself that you weren't even planning.
You get more out of it than anybody else. That's true. You feel so good for the other person.
One of my favorite things is to tell all the children, to every chance that you get, hug your mom and your dad, your brothers and your sisters, and especially your grandmas and grandpas, because grandmas and grandpas just live for those hugs.
I don't think there's a better thing to end the program on than hugs. I like that. Hugs are free. Give away as many hugs as you possibly can. Hug your family. Hug your siblings, because it will drive them crazy, but they will appreciate it later. And definitely hug your grandparents. And just thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having us. It's been our pleasure.
Thank you. Yes.
I look forward to the rest of the holiday season. I look forward to discovering all the new ways that we can see giving and all the things that we talked about. And I want to thank you for watching. I want to take a quick second to thank our volunteers who are here tonight. Thank you to Matt and Caitlin and Paul, who are in the control room making sure that you can watch this right now. And I want you to have a very Merry Christmas, and we will see you the next time.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
Also, one more thing. Okay. Everyone have an awesome Christmas.